What's up, everybody? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team. We are super excited to be back with another developer update, but even more than the developer update, we're excited that beta is back. We hope for those of you who are in the beta, you're having a smooth experience. We're really excited to get your feedback. We need to know what you guys think of the game. We need to know what we need to change before launch, so it's a very important process for us. So, as many of you have probably realized by now, there have been a lot of changes to Overwatch since the last time that the beta was up and running. So I'm going to try to cover some of those as briefly as possible. First of all, we have the new progression system. And I think there's a lot about the progression system already out there. We have a really in-depth blog post that you guys can read to get all of the details. But for those of you who don't want to, dive right into that blog post, the long and the short of it is you now have a player level in Overwatch. And as you level up in the game, which you do by just playing matches, you gain experience points. When you achieve those new levels, you will be rewarded with a loot box. And in those loot boxes, there can be all sorts of different random rewards, and they're all cosmetic. None of them are gameplay affecting, but we think that there's some really cool ones in there. There's skins. There's emotes for the characters, there's new voice lines, there's sprays so you can put emblems up in the play space for people to see. There's new avatars for you. There's what we call highlight intros. So if you get a play of the game, your character will do this really amazing animation, and I think it looks pretty amazing. So hopefully you guys like that content. There's a lot more to the progression system that you'll sort of learn over time, like things like unlocking portrait borders and that sort of thing. There's infinite levels to it, so the more you play, you can always just sort of level up. And it has no bearing on the competitive landscape of the game, and I think that's what's really important about the progression system. It's sort of the game's way for thanking you for playing without putting a heavy burden on you that you have to level up to really be viable in Overwatch. So beyond that, we've added a lot of new ways for you to play Overwatch, and I'm going to cover some of these as briefly as I can. One of the ways that we're very excited to talk about is what we're calling play versus AI. And really the inspiration from this comes for us from Heroes of the Storm. So Heroes of the Storm, as all of you Heroes players out there know, has a version of the game where you can just play in a competitive match cooperatively with other players, but against AI. And for a lot of us, there's a lot of pressure just diving into a 6v6 competitive match against other players. We feel like, we have to be on our best. We don't want to let our team down. But for whatever reason, it's more comfortable to play against the AI. And also the AI can be a little bit easier sometimes than other players as well. So we've put a new mode in. When you click on the play button, you now get options. There's quick play, which you guys are all used to, and now there is play versus AI, which will queue you up with a group of 6 to play against 6 AI opponents. The really cool part about this as well is that you can earn levels and loot boxes through doing this. So it's a great sort of introduction to the game. If you're learning a new hero, you're not feeling entirely comfortable with a new play style, or you just came off of a long break from Overwatch, you can always come back and just play versus AI. So that's going to be in there for you. Now, something you guys asked extensively for was a new game mode in Overwatch. And we had said in a lot of the interviews that you've heard, members of the Overwatch development team, we said, we're always working on new game modes. They just don't always work out. Because we feel like it's really important to have a certain type of gameplay in Overwatch that doesn't discount the amazing abilities that the heroes have. Well, the game mode that we settled on, we call Control. And I think those of you who have been around FPS communities for a long time will know this mode to be most similar with what we call King of the Hill, or FPS vets think of as King of the Hill. And the way that this mode works is there are 3 different points on each of these maps, the control maps that we have. When your team captures a point, you're accruing progress towards victory on that point. Once you've captured that point, you don't need to stay on it. So if you want to put up a front or go send your tracer to harass up against the enemy front lines, you can do that. You don't need to just sit in one spot on a control map. If your team wins the first 2 points, the map is over and you've won the whole game. If your team wins the first point and your enemies win the second point, then it goes to a whole third new point in the map. So it's kind of the tiebreaker point. That's the new game mode, and in this beta patch, you'll see 2 brand new maps that are a lot of fun. We've been playing them now for months. One is Nepal, which takes place in the beautiful Himalaya mountains. And this is the area where Zenyatta is from, so there's a lot of cool little lore Easter eggs in here. For example, the room where Genji stayed with Zenyatta is in this space. And then the other map is called the Lijiang Tower, and this is a amazing skyscraper in China. And it's one of our most beautiful futuristic maps. So we think you guys will have a lot of fun playing in the new game mode and the new maps. Now beyond that, we were reading a lot of your guys' comments and listening to a lot of feedback from players in the beta. And there was a request, hey, we want more game modes. So obviously we've got Control coming, but a lot of times when the request would come through for a new game mode, it would be the type of thing like, hey, it would be cool, like a cool game mode would be only Hanzos versus Genjis, or a cool game mode would be that you can't have 2 of any of the same hero. And there's sort of a semantics issue going on here, because I don't really think of those necessarily as complete separate game modes, but just fun rule sets to play with. So we did a lot of talking on the development team, and we decided to really change the private game feature. In fact, we renamed it to Custom Game, which is more in line with games like, StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm. And we really started to blow out the number of rule options that you have to create your own custom game. You're gonna find some really fun stuff in there. So let's say you only wanted 2 heroes of each role maximum on each team, you can do that. Or if you've decided that Junkrat is overpowered and doesn't belong in the game, you can make a custom game with no Junkrats. Or you're having a really competitive match and you find skins distracting. Well, you can make a custom game that disables skins. There's also some fun, embrace your inner game designer features in there as well. There's a headshot only mode. You can scale health. You can control the rate at which ultimate charge gains over time. So we're trying to give a lot of customization and expression to you as the player so you can experiment with Overwatch and say, hey, for me and my friends, this is the really fun way that we like to play the game. And of course, we as the development team are going to be watching and keeping track of what types of custom games you guys are doing. And if there are really popular features that we see in custom game that the community is really embracing, we'll talk about trying to incorporate some of those back into the core game design when it comes to the quick play mode as well. You're going to see a lot of other improvements to the game. I hope you have a lot of fun checking everything out. If you guys have questions, we'll do our best to be answering it on our social media sites and also on our forums. We want to thank you for your patience when the beta was down. And as always, we look forward to what you guys have to say about Overwatch because we feel like we're making this game with you guys. So thanks for everything, and we look forward to our next chance to catch up together.